Finally, after all this running around and chasing around, the coronavirus has caught up with me and my channel. I don't know what this looks like at all, so forgive me if this is an utter mess and if this video goes absolutely nowhere. As you know, if you watch my channel often, you know I do daily sneaker content every single day. And usually what I can do is I can go into a studio and do that and to video the content with a proper green screen behind me and stuff like that. But we're actually in my home right now. We're at home because there's a lockdown or a semi-lockdown or a lockdown light or whatever you want to call that in Tokyo right now. So that means that I can't shoot my videos where I want to shoot them, but I still want to keep doing my daily drops. So this is the first time trying it at home, bringing a green screen into the house. I have no idea if this is going to work or if the images behind me are going to be terrible or if the light's going to be awful or any of those things. So, but we're going to try. We're going to give it our best shot. We're going to try and keep the daily content going. We're going to try not to lose to this coronavirus. I'm going to try and keep on and keep it on with the channel. I've got everything I need. I've got computer access. I've got my iPhone to shoot on. I've got my green screen for my backdrop. So I've got everything I need to make content. So hopefully this daily content will keep on coming, and it's keeping on coming today as we take a close-up look at the Nike Air Jordan 1 Low Bred. This is a Tokyo About 23 Sneaker Channel, Tokyo About 23 Sneaker Channel. Des, Mainichi, absolutely no day, Mainichi me, because every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about sneaker releases, sneaker news, and upcoming sneaker content and stuff like that. And right now, as I said at the start of this video, we've got that situation in Japan, especially in Tokyo, where we're in lockdown light, which means we're not supposed to be going out unless we really have to. And I don't really have to go out to shoot content for my channel. I can do it from my home as I am doing it right now. And hopefully it's not an absolute disaster and it's not a complete mess. But everybody out there is affected by this in different ways. I mean, right now in Tokyo, it's I'm shooting this content on Sunday. I think it's April 12th, and it'll probably go up on Tuesday. And right now we're just talking about, you know, people being advised to stay at home and things like that. So it's not as strict or as troublesome as it has been in Italy, Spain, the UK, America, places like that, where it's been much more troublesome and much more difficult to keep their daily lives going. So I totally appreciate that right now the situation in Japan isn't as bad as it is elsewhere, but they are advising us to stay at home and they're trying to be preventative and stop this thing from really exploding here in the world's biggest city. And we have to appreciate that, and please do appreciate that I am at home. That means my two dogs, which are both of them are right here, they're sleeping right now, but they could, for all I know, kick off, start barking, start asking for attention from me. My little girl's next door sleeping, having her afternoon nap. She could wake up right in the middle of this and it could all go, I wouldn't say it would go horribly wrong, I'd just say that life would interfere and intrude on my channel, and if that happens, that's the reality of living under Corona and living with this situation. But like I said, I want to keep the content going if I can, and I can do that, like I said, because I've got the hardware that I need to do that. So this is day one of me trying to shoot content from home, and you know, it would be great to get feedback from you guys out there if there's anything you can tell me about whether this looks good or doesn't, whether you have a recommendation for the way I should go forward. It would be great to get comments down below. But for now, what we really need to do is we really need to get into this shoe and have a look at it. And there are three different things in particular that I really want to get into on this sneaker. Now, it's a Bred sneaker, an Air Jordan 1 Low, and there are three parts to it that I think are significant in the design and in the structure of the shoe. And those three things that I want to look at are the upper materials in terms of the base materials, and then you've got the upper kind of overlay materials, and then you've got the color blocking on the sneaker as a whole. So we're going to look at those three things right now. Now, the first thing I did say we would look at is the base. It's a very black sneaker. For a Bred sneaker, it's quite a black sneaker, if you know what I mean. Usually Bred sneakers have a bit more red on them, and we'll get to that red in a minute. But it's very black, and especially when you look at the two colors of the upper, the base color is black, and then you've got the overlays on top also in black. But one of the things they've done to distinguish between the two is they've gone with two different materials. And the base, so if you look at the toe box, the panel on the toe box, for example, or the midfoot panel on the side of the sneaker, you can see it's a slightly shiny, smooth leather. So it's a basic, simple, smooth leather base on this guy in black. But then on top of that, like I said, the second thing I wanted to look at And I think it's maybe more of a main feature than the first thing, is that the panels around the overlays, so the overlays on the toe box, the overlays on the quarter line right at the bottom of the lacing system itself, and then the heel cup on the back. So if we look at those 4 distinct places across the sneaker, running front to back across the length of the sneaker, they're actually in black nubuck as opposed to smooth leather. So it provides a sort of contrast between the two materials that they're using to make this sneaker, and that kind of helps it not be more black than red. It's not red. The balance between the two colors on there is helped out because the black itself is separated into 2 sort of distinct blacks as opposed to being just an all sort of black sneaker. And I think that's important. I think that matters to the construct of the sneaker, and I think it matters to the people out there who are going to want to buy these things. So having that nubuck in there is a definite plus for me. And because nubuck is kind of soft and it absorbs light, whereas leather is usually a bit shiny and it sort of reflects light, it gives you that contrast between the two, one absorbing and one reflecting. And hopefully behind me here on this green screen that is hopefully working, you're able to see that kind of contrast between the two materials on there. Then we get into the red side of things, and there is actually a 4th thing I want to get into in a minute, which is talking about the swoosh itself. But we'll start by talking about the red on there, because this is going down as a Bred sneaker, so it obviously has red in there somewhere. And as far as I can tell, it has red in 3 different places. One is on the outsole again. Hopefully here you'll be able to see me panning up from that outsole, and then you get to the swoosh, which I'm going to scoot past very quickly, but you can see a border around that swoosh in red, and I've scooted past quickly onto the tongue because that's the final place where we get that red in there to complete that Bred effect on the sneaker because of the tongue branding on there. Now the tongue itself is in that sort of nylon-y material. I'm not actually sure what the material itself is, whether it's nylon or mesh or whatever, but it's definitely not leather. That's the important kind of point on this. And it's one of the things I don't like about Jordan Lows that much. I wish they'd do a bit more with the tongue. Sometimes I feel like the tongue is a little bit simple or a little bit kind of removed from the rest of the shoe, so it doesn't really fit in with the aesthetic of the rest of the shoe. It's like a 3rd different black material. We've got that sort of I'll go with gloss black leather on in the base, and then you've got the matte sort of black leather of the nubuck, and then you've got this kind of shiny man-made nylon or whatever material up there on the tongue as a 3rd different material on these guys. Now I said I skipped past the swoosh very quickly because, and I'm not going to quite go back to it yet, so I'll stay with the tongue behind me right now and we'll get to the swoosh in a minute. But it's important in 3 ways. We've already discussed one way, which is the border around the edge of it, which gives it a bit of accent, a bit of sort of pop. The other way it's important is, and I'll start the video moving me down so we can get to it and look at it now, is that it is light grey, which kind of gives you a little bit of a nod to the Bred 4s with their light grey accents in there as well. But the thing I really like about it, and the key kind of design point of it, and it might be the key design point of the whole sneaker, is that it's not a solid grey swoosh on there. It's actually a textured grey swoosh on there. So the fact that it's grey, and a light grey at that, gives it a bit of contrast to the rest of the sneaker, and is a point to that the whole sneaker kind of revolves around in a way. But then when you get closer up to it, as hopefully again the green screen is letting us do right now, you can see that it's not just a simple grey swoosh, it's actually a textured grey swoosh, which gives it again another little bit of character. And I think as a total, if we kind of pan out from that and look at the entire sneaker as a one, without that textured grey swoosh on there, I think this would be a too boring sneaker. There wouldn't be enough interest or enough details on it, or enough sort of character in it to make it worth kind of looking at. But because of that textured swoosh, it raises it up a little bit of a level and gives us another look at it in a different perspective. And I think that matters in this shoe, especially if we go back to my initial point, which is it's basically a black sneaker. So having that kind of light grey textured swoosh gives it a bit of character that it maybe wouldn't have. Again, if you thought of it from in terms of it having just a solid light grey swoosh on the side instead of a textured one, then it would look totally different. I don't think it would quite fit what we were looking for. So as a whole, it's kind of a cool sneaker. Air Jordan 1 lows, there have been quite a lot of them recently. Personally, this one I'm not actually feeling all that much. I prefer things like what was it called now? It was the shattered backboards, but when they did it in the low, they didn't call it a shattered backboard. They called it something like, oh God, it's going to bug me now, like Flash Orange or something like that. Starfish, was it Starfish Orange or something like that? But I prefer that kind of blocking on my lows. I don't like it when the base is totally one color. In the case of this one, it's black. I prefer there to be those two colors or three colors playing off each other in the same way that you get the color blocking on the mids or the highs. But that's not to say it's not a cool looking sneaker. I mean, for me it's not a go, but for somebody out there, they might be interested in it, especially being bred. I personally own a couple of really nice black and red Jordan sneakers, the Fire Red Jordan 3s and the Bred 4s. So obviously I'm invested, if you like. And actually, if you watched my video last week, oh man, I totally forgot about this until now. I did a video about a Bred sneaker. And it's totally gone from me now. I can't remember which one it was, but I was wearing NMDR 2s that were also Bred sneakers, and it was the Concord Bred tie-up with the Air Jordan 11s, that video, and I took off my NMDR 2 Breds and showed them in that video, and people were not particularly happy with me taking an iconic shoe like that and then bringing in something less iconic, shall we say. But yeah, no, I like my Bred sneakers. Like I say, that NMDR2 I've got, and then the two pairs of Jordans as well. So yeah, there is a colour that I rock with, but this particular sneaker, I'm kind of not really feeling it that much. So, but that's just me. You might have a different perspective, but one perspective I would appreciate is your feedback on this video. Like I said, I don't know how it's going to look, don't know how it's going to go, I don't know if this is all going to work or not. I don't know if this room that I'm in is going to have different echoes and sounds, or if there are sounds from outside that are going to intrude. The dogs have stayed asleep all the way through, which maybe is a good sort of piece of feedback on how dull my content is. I don't know. My little girl hasn't woken up either, so that's 2 pluses at least there. But if you can give me some feedback on this in the comments down below, that would be appreciated as well. For now though, it's time for me to sign off, and what I say at the end of all my videos, I do it at the end of every single video, and I have done it at the end of every single video now for more than 400 days straight of daily content, and I'm really happy that I can keep that going even though life and times are a bit difficult. One of the reasons why I'm able to do daily content is because I have a rhythm and a sort of pattern and a system to the way I'm doing it, but that's all out the window right now. But we're still keeping it going, which I'm glad to be able to do, and hopefully it's working for you out there as much as it is for me. For now though, it's time to do what I do at the end of all of my videos, like I said, which is to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out my content, and because I do this every single day, and I continue to do this every single day, even with a lockdown trying to slow me down, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.